In this video, I'm going to show you how to add padding to your HTML elements, and we're getting started right now. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's Bjorn from Higher Learning Lab, where I help you code better so you can earn more for yourself, for your business, and for your clients. And if it's your first time here, hit subscribe, then hit the bell notification icon so you're notified when I publish more awesome tutorials for you. And with that out of the way, let's learn how to add padding to your HTML elements. HTML doesn't really have a padding attribute per se. You can create padding in HTML by using the CSS property for padding, and that applies the padding to the HTML elements. So to illustrate this, we have a very simple HTML page in code on the left, and what that page renders to on the right, and it's just 3 boxes, a headline, and 1 sentence, and we're going to use this to illustrate padding and how to apply padding. Now there's something to note, padding and margins are often also quite confusing when you're starting out with HTML and CSS. The difference is margins apply space outside of an element. So if you apply a margin to this green box, it would apply it between the green box and the blue box, or between the green box and the red box. But padding is applied inside of an element. So if we add padding to the green box, it's going to shrink the space available for the text. So it's going to basically have more green space on the edges of the text, and the padding is applied on the inside of the element. Margins are applied to the outside. I'm going to show you 2 ways to apply this padding. One is using Inline CSS, and one is using CSS within a style sheet. So first, let's do the inline. For box 2, that's the green box, we have the div right here to create that element. And that is what we want to apply the padding to. Luckily, adding CSS inline is really easy. All we have to do is we click into the element that we want in the code. So this is the div. And we type in style equals open and close quotes, open close double quotes. And then we type in the style property and the style values that we want to have. So at first, we're just going to type in padding, colon, and then add 15 pixels. Semicolon, save that file, refresh this page. You want to do refresh. It's going to add 15 pixels of padding on all sides of this sentence. So let's refresh and see that happen. So here we added, as I just said, 15 pixels of padding on each side. But what it also did was expand the size of the box. So the interior of the box remains as what we set it at. In the CSS, we can see the width and height are both set to 200. So the interior of the box stayed at that 200, and we added 15 pixels on the top and the bottom and the left and the right. When we have padding like this is called the shorthand form of padding. Whatever number we add here, if we only have one value there, it adds that value to all 4 sides. Now what you can do is you can have 2 different values in here, and then that will add 15 pixels to the top and the bottom, and 5 pixels of padding to the left and the right. So if we refresh the page, we'll see the side spacing shrink and the top and bottom spacing will remain the same. What we can also do is add another value. So if we add 20 pixels, so we have 3, what happens now is there's going to be 15 pixels added at the top, 5 pixels on the left and the right, and 20 pixels on the bottom. So we're going to see a slight increase in size at the bottom here. Actually, I'm going to change this to 40. So we're going to see a more dramatic increase in padding at the bottom, but up here, nothing will change. And there we see the box got a little bigger. We can add a 4th value. Let's make this 35 pixels. Now what we have is 15 pixels on the top, 5 pixels on the right, 40 pixels on the bottom, and 35 pixels on the left. Refresh that page. We see we added more pixels on the left to make that padding larger. Now the way to remember which order these values are applied, because they have to be applied in a very specific order. When you have 4 of them, the first one is always the top, second one is always the right, third one is always the bottom, and the 4th one is always the left. And how you can remember this is if you think of the word trouble, and you type out just the consonants of that word. So you have TRBL, and T for top, R for right, B for bottom, left for left, or sorry, L for left, And that is how I remember what the order is. I just think of the word trouble, I think of the order of the consonants, and that's the order that these values in the padding are applied. Now this only applies when you have 4 values in there. We just saw examples of when you have 1 value, 2 values, 3 values, and this little trick doesn't apply for those. It only applies for when you have 4 values. Now to take this one step further, we can take this CSS out of being inline. So we take it out of the HTML and we put it somewhere where the CSS lives. So that's either in the head, in a style section, or in a separate style sheet. So on this HTML file, I have a style section up here. I have a style opening tag in the head, a style closing tag, and in between, I have a bunch of CSS rules. What we can do is just cut this piece out of the HTML, just the CSS property and the values. We delete style equals double quote open and close, and we go up here to box 2, which is the green box. We paste in that property and those values, we save the file, and we will see that nothing changes when we refresh. Because what we just did is the exact same command, just done in a different way. And the reason you want to do it this way is because what we have here is a very simple HTML file. If you have a very big and complicated one, you're going to want to centralize all your CSS code in one spot, get it out of your HTML so it's a cleaner looking HTML and it's easier to work with. And then when you want to make display changes, you know that everything is contained in one CSS file, which makes life really easy. What else makes life easy is if we, for example, let's just put these back to normal. If we want to add padding to all of these elements and we want to add the same padding to all of them, if we do it inline, we have to add it to every single one. So we add the style to box 1, and we add it to box 2, we add it to box 3, we save the file, refresh the page. Now we have the same padding added to all of them. And let's say we want to change the padding on the bottom for all of them. So we have to go in, change that one to 50, change this one to 50, change this one to 50, then save it and refresh. And this is still fine because it's a simple file. But just imagine this is not a simple file, not a simple web page. And you have to go in and make these changes 100 different times. That gets old really quickly, trust me, really quickly. So what we're gonna do is make our life easy, or easier, and that we do that with CSS. We're gonna delete all that from the inline code. Up here we have a selector that selects all of the boxes. In the declaration block, we're going to add what we just had in the inline, padding and the values for the padding. Save this file, refresh this page, nothing changes because it's the same instructions. Now if we want to change padding in the bottom back to 0, we just change it in one spot and it applies it to all the elements. And if you had 1,000 elements on that page that were affected by that change, they would all be instantly changed. That's the power of CSS. It can save you a whole lot of time and effort and a whole lot of frustration. What we can also do is use the non-shorthand form of padding. So if you only want to add padding to the right of an element, you can just use the padding right property. So we type in padding right and we type in 40 pixels. And that will add padding to the right of this green box to get some more space on the right hand side. And this is called the non-shorthand form because you're specifically saying exactly which side the padding goes on. Shorthand allows you to add more values into one property to basically do shorthand, so you don't have to type as much, and it also saves on the size of your file, which means your site will end up loading faster. So we have padding right defined. You can also define padding top. We did padding right, you can do padding bottom, and padding left. And you can apply padding to nearly any element, and you can use either the shorthand form or the non-shorthand form. This depends on your preference, but using the shorthand form often reduces your file size, which increases your load speed. And that's all there is to adding padding to HTML. I hope this video helps you. If you haven't done so yet, hit subscribe. then hit the bell notification icon so you're notified when I publish more tutorials for you. And next up is clicking one of these buttons on the right hand side, or one of these videos, sorry, on the right hand side, so you can get more coding knowledge. And until next time, keep crushing it, and I will see you in the next video.